Hey everyone, the name is Eric Thor, and it's time for us to walk down into something completely undiscussed before. It's time to talk about the fifth and the sixth cognitive function and the INFJ. And the question I'm here to ask you today is, what is an INFJ's worldview? I'm here because I find that there is something important when we talk about the notion of the self. When we talk about how you perceive yourself, you will always focus on, first and foremost, your behavior, and you will tend to talk about what you think and how you act and who you are, as in the sense of your body and your mind. And kind of the interesting thing that I've noticed is people perceive consciously, they conjure up a world where they are agents. You have your image of yourself as an agent acting consciously, and you have also an image of the world around you and what you are acting in and what you are engaging in, what kind of world you live in. And that's the really bizarre thing. Really it's bizarre to think about the fact that we are walking around with, as INFJs, intuitive extroversion and feeling perceiving. We are walking around with this function used consciously, and the interesting thing is we are using this function as something outside of us. We are experiencing this function every day, and it is not as in who we are and how we act. It's in what the world around us looks like. Intuitive extroverts, intuitive introverts perceive and prefer to engage in intuition from their own personal mind. They prefer to go inside. They prefer to use imagination to theorize, to speculate on the world. They don't want to use the world to... they don't want to engage in intuition through the world. But they do experience intuition in the world around them. INFJs experience their world filled of chaos. They experience the world as nonsensical and slightly absurd. They experience the world full of patterns. And when they do, they often say it's extroverted sensing, but really it's not. Extroverted sensing is not patterns. Extroverted sensing is not this absurd thing that you are looking at. And how you look at it is not extroverted sensing. How you look at the world is intuitive extroversion. And what I find is so important when it comes down to this is INFJs are engaged in and fueled by this belief. INFJs are fueled by the idea that the world around them has patterns everywhere to be figured out. INFJs are fueled by the idea that these patterns don't make sense. These ideas don't fit into any system. Everything they see appear all the time conflicts with their bigger picture, their idea of the world, their theory of everything. INFJs constantly have this notion. They constantly notice how the world contradicts this outer view. And so what you will find is INFJs, because they see all these absurd patterns, are fueled to go inside, to reflect, to theorize, to organize, to synthesize these ideas into a bigger system. And they need this experience. They need to constantly be in a world where intuitive extroversion exists, where these patterns are real, where these things happen, so that this function use is fueled. Without it, you can't use intuitive introversion. You can't theorize about patterns that you don't see, that you haven't noticed, that you haven't become aware of, because then you are just obsessing, really, about the same old thing, the same old theory over and over, but no real new development. You need constantly new development. You need constantly new changes, things that will contradict your experience, even if it's slightly uncomfortable, because that's the thing. Intuitive extroversion is always going to be uncomfortable for an INFJ. It's gonna be like, oh no, this doesn't add up. Oh no, this doesn't make sense. Oh no, this contradicts my big picture theory. And this oh no also goes into this kind of oh well, then I will have to rethink my theory, or then I will have to reassess this to make sure that it fits. And so, beyond this intuitive introvert experience, beyond this intuitive extroversion, there is also feeling perceiving. INFJs walk around consciously aware all the time of, in a way, the different interpretations everyone is constantly making about what they say. INFJs have a strong idea in their head about how other people may come to interpret what they say and what they do. INFJs can consciously become aware of, oh, because I did this, now everybody's gonna think I said this or meant this or this. INFJs have this ability, which is very much like reading another person, or predicting or simulating how other people will feel, act, and think about you, what they will think about you. INFJs have this, and they also have this awareness of how different and how contradictory a lot of the time these experiences will be. INFJs feel like they are always contradicting themselves in a way when it comes down to their character. And this awareness that they are contradicting themselves fuels their use of feeling judging. INFJs are fueled to use feeling judging to sort out these contradictions, to come up with a holistic message, a message that fits their entire life, their entire experience, where everything they do makes sense, where everything adds up, and when you can see their entire system of morality and how coherent and organized it is. INFJs want to have this coherent system, but because they constantly become aware of how contradictory their own experience can be and how it can be misinterpreted by different people, people will notice what you say and how it doesn't add up. And so you constantly, because you are aware of this, because you project onto other people to think that you are not making sense, that you are contradicting yourself, you feel this need, this urge, it fuels your urge to be a feeling judging type. And what you get is this separation between your world and the world you live in. I mean, your personal world, who you are, and who you think the world is, what you think the world is, what you are acutely aware of, what you believe to be true about the world. And these beliefs, what you have about the world, that can be both conscious and unconscious. You have both the conscious behavior that you are aware of. INFJs are consciously aware of how INFJ they are, but they are somewhat less aware of how ESTP-like they can be in times when they feel cornered. INFJs are intensely aware of how ENFP they see the world as, how contradictory, how intuitive it is, how absurd it is, how multi-meaningful it is, how many different possible interpretations there are to everything they do and everything they say and everything that happens around them. And INFJs are not aware of what they believe about the world that is like an ISTJ, what they believe about the world but that they don't realize that they believe, the things that they believe that give them anxiety, the things that they believe that drain them of energy. INFJs aren't aware of this. And we all have this interesting dichotomy. We have the four things we are conscious of. We have the two things we are conscious of. The two things we are not conscious of. And we have the things that are us, who we are. And the things that is the world that we live in. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, leave a comment down below. Perhaps I'll make this video again later when this makes more sense. Until then, let's have a good discussion about this and let's try to figure it out together. Thank you all for watching.